In those days, they had a very strong apartheid system in America, more stronger than the one of South Africa, and they had what was called the Jim Crow law. The Jim Crow law says that any black man that sits on the same row as a white man, if all of you are here are blacks and one white man sits here, all the black have to stand up and go back and allow the white man. The Jim Crow law says if a white man enters any vehicle, even if you are 100 black people on that bus, all the blacks must step down. The Jim Crow law says if a white man is coming this way and you are walking like this as a black man, you have to step aside and allow the white man to pass before you can continue. The Jim Crow law says once it is 6 p.m. in the evening, every single black person in the whole country of America, you have to be in your house. If you're found outside of your house after 6 p.m., you will be locked up and imprisoned for 18 days. That was Jim Crow law. Added to the Jim Crow law was what we call the suffrage movement. The suffrage movement was laws against women. Women were not allowed to preach. Women were not allowed to drive a car. Women were not allowed to vote. There were 21 laws restricting women. Now, the laws against women were there. The laws against the blacks were there. So if you happen to be a black woman, your own has finished all. And here was Charles Parham. He opened a Bible college. And all his students were white students. And they employed a young lady by the name Lucy Farrow as the cleaner and as the cook to cook food for the school students, and as the nanny to take care of all the children of the white students. And while Charles Parham was preaching and teaching the Bible school students from the book of Joel 2:28, that it shall come to pass in the last days, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and upon your handmaidens and upon the women shall prophesy. And she was cleaning and she said, Father, if this is really your word, all flesh, does it include black flesh? Upon servants, does it include me who is the maid, cleaner and cook, all three in one? And women shall prophesy. Father, they said women have no place. Father, if this word truly is your word, what they are seeking for, let it begin with me. That was how Lucy Farrow became the first person in Pentecostal black history to receive the baptism of the Holy Ghost with evidence of speaking in tongues. She didn't just receive the Holy Ghost, she received several of the gifts of the Spirit, including laying hand on the sick for them to be healed. Not only healing, but when she lays hands on you to receive Holy Ghost, she has that grace to transfer baptism of the Holy Ghost, just like Peter was called to Samaria to lay hand, and as many as Peter lay hand after Philip have evangelized, Peter came and did impartation. That was how Lucy Farrow, a black woman, ex-slave, Holy Ghost endowed her with power. And because she carried so much power and so much grace, she is the one known in American black history to have broken the Jim Crow law. Because whenever the whites are having conference, after preaching and teaching, they cannot deliver. So they have to lay hold of Lucy Farrow. She's the one that will deliver the power. I came to say to somebody here, may you receive power. Men may write you off. Men may push you in the corner. Men may not give you the platform. But the Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost. That was how Lucy Farrow became a hotcake. Lucy Farrow also received the gift of what is called glossonalia. Glossonalia is not just speaking in tongues, it is speaking in languages. That's how she used to travel to different nations as a missionary and preach to them in their language without interpreter by the Holy Ghost. It was Lucy Farrow, because of the grace she carries, while she was a cleaner, cook, nanny in a Bible college, she opened a church. And she set William Seymour as her assistant pastor. Everybody celebrates William Seymour as the catalyst of Azusa Street Revival. But they don't know that the real spark plug of Azusa Street was not William Seymour, it was Lucy Farrow. It was Lucy Farrow who called William Seymour and said, as my assistant pastor, you also need the Holy Ghost. So come to the Bible college here in Topeka, Kansas. That was how William Seymour came to the Bible college. Because he's a black man amongst all the white students, he has to sit outside the window and take notes from the window until he graduated. And when he graduated, him and Lucy Farrow, they have already joined with Frank Battleman, the man who raised 26 prayer cells, to pray until the power of God comes down. Lucy Farrow and William Seymour, they were one of the 26 prayer cells. Are you following me? And while they were waiting upon the Lord, one day they read in the Bible how in Acts of the Apostles and how in Luke 24, the owner of the work says, you have to tarry until. And they discovered that they tarried for 10 days. And right there they made a kind of agreement, a covenant, that what happened in Pentecost, we will make it to happen here in Los Angeles. That we are giving an open appeal. As many who are interested to see that same supernatural power, come and join us here. They were gathering in a house at 214 Bonnie Bray Street. And they said, anybody who wants to join us for this prayer, when you enter, you will sign. When you sign, you will not step out again until 10 days has passed. We will be here to pray for 10 days and 10 nights until. Ladies and gentlemen, 22 women came and signed. 9 men signed. 5 youths signed. And they locked themselves in 214 Bonnie Bray Street. And they were ready to pray for 10 days until the heaven came down. They didn't wait until 10 days. The Holy Ghost was even more eager than we are eager. On the 3rd day, only the 3rd day, what happened in Pentecost happened in that house. The power of the highest, what we call Shekinah glory, filled the house. Shekinah glory is the cloud that followed Israel by day and the pillar of fire by night. Shekinah glory is the atmosphere of heaven that invades the earth. Shekinah glory, when it comes to church, you may not see the person by your side because the cloud will cover them. Shekinah glory, when a church is under that movement, you will see literal fire on top of the roof. Shekinah glory is what our forefathers have experienced. Shekinah glory is how my church called Assemblies of God started. Assemblies of God in Nigeria, when they started in the 1920s and 30s, cloud used to fill our congregation and fire used to be on top of the roof. So there was a generation who once touched God, who once knew God, who once prayed for the power to come down. And that was how Shekinah glory filled that house. And all of them were baptized with the Holy Ghost. There was one woman by the name Jenny Moore. Jenny Moore was the woman who later married William Seymour. When the power came upon her, she did not just speak in tongues. She also, like Lucy Farrow, the gift of glossolalia, she spoke in 6 languages: German, French, Spanish, Italian, Greek, and Latin. That is how Jenny Moore used to travel to Germany and preach to the Germans without an interpreter by the Holy Ghost. Jenny Moore, the day she received the power of God in Bonnie Bray Street, she moved to the piano and played the keyboard like the greatest piano concertist on planet Earth. Yet she has never played the piano before, but by the Holy Ghost.